your joy bank. And
Mm.
so to know that I've been chosen, many are called, but few are chosen.
Wow,
I
that's so
know that
powerful.
you, right? Like, it's like, okay, so everybody's phone's ringing, calling, and I mean, distract. I've been called, but were you chosen?
Welcome to another episode here at Trailblazers Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Ortega, and every week we bring you an episode to inspire, to educate, and to really move you as an entrepreneur. Because we both know conversations that will happen today is meant to shift you in the right direction. So I'm here with a special guest. I met her in Vegas a few weeks ago, and it was just a God thing. It was just experiencing God's love and his commitment to excellence when bringing his people together. So, with that being said, Miss Jully Black, I'm really excited for this conversation and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. The fact that we're sitting here right now is a miracle in itself, having this conversation. So I'm excited.
Amen. Amen. Well, why don't you share one super special thing about you with the audience just to kick off today's show?
One super special thing. No one's ever said that to me before. One super special thing about me is I have been given quite the gift of storytelling, of song, of music. Since I started to sing before I could speak,
Okay.
and now it's been my ultimate connector. It's been the ultimate bridge. And so that's super special. It's a gift I often say I did nothing for, but it's up to me to be a good steward and to share it with the world.
I love that. Since the day I met you, like God has been in my heart. Like I feel like God has brought us together, and we even said that when we were in person just talking. What, like, not to go really deep, but I'm gonna start here. I feel like it's important.
Okay.
How has God impacted your overall success and even where you're going?
God has impacted my overall success by showing me that he's always with me, even when I don't feel him. He's ahead of me, he's behind me, and he's with me. Being a born and raised Canadian of immigrant parents who have no musical background, nobody in my family there's no entrepreneurs. Everybody, and they're beautiful in their careers and they're taking different paths. For me, at a very, very early age, I realized that I had a very divine purpose in, it's almost discipleship. I was just very much ready to show my experiences of God and with God, even when I might have been doing the most, I guess, bad things. Like sometimes people look at believers and think that it was always this way, or
Right.
And it's like, nah, I've been stabbed. I've been like, so many things happened to me, growing up, and still I had a thank you, Lord. Even as a whisper, I still had a thank you, Lord.
That's so good.
That was very, very special. Like, wow, so yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, it says in the word to give him praise no matter what the circumstances, no matter what you're going through. So I think that's definitely a good word as a reminder to hear. And to kind of go into, who you are, because like I didn't know we had mutual friends. Like I posted in a group that I run, hey, I met this super awesome person. I think we're gonna do a podcast together. I didn't even drop your name. I just dropped a picture, and like a few of my people are like, oh, I know her. Like, she's the one that led me to God, Mika Watkins.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm like, man, like that's so cool. And I was like, man, I was excited to bring somebody to my network that I felt no one knew, because it's like a hidden secret. Like, man, she's so awesome. No one knows her, but when they know of her, it's like, man, it's gonna be cool. But people already know you. But for the people that don't know you, tell this amazing audience who you are, and really, like, I don't want to say like what you do, but like who you are, and just like the amazing stuff you've done and the amazing stuff you're doing.
Oh my goodness, where did I begin? Well, who I am is God's child. I
Boom.
am the daughter of the King of all kings, Lord of all
Come
lords.
on.
My daddy has all the power in the world. I am an heir to royalty, right? And
Boom.
so that's where I dwell in the kingdom. So that's first of all, as far as the who. What I've been called to do is to be a storyteller, be a truth teller, a game changer, a history maker through the portal of music and theater and acting and speaking and television and film and radio,
Man.
and literature. I've been blessed with many, many gifts. And so it's been important for me to, I guess, kind of be still enough to
Mm-hmm.
hear what assignment is up next. I find
Mm.
that so many people think that, okay, it's kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. Hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
bun that. I'm Jamaican, be like, bun that, done that, right? Bun that. No, you can master all the things. It's about really being on Mamba life, being on a constant quest of
Mm.
becoming one's best self, right? So if
Mm.
you're on that constant quest and the season is, podcasting and interviewing and conversations, then you spend time in that. You
Mm.
research it, you watch it, you listen to it, you become that for that season. And
That's so
you'll
good.
know, you know what I mean? You'll know when it's like, I think we don't take time enough to feel, to be like, okay, you know what? It's time to rest. It's in the Ecclesiastes, you know what I mean?
Right.
A time to laugh, and a time to cry, a time to dance, and a time to, like, all the things, right? We know, we'll come to know. But if we're so distracted and we never take time to pause, we won't get the next assignment.
Mm.
And so at a young age, at 6 years old, I started singing. Really younger than that, actually, like 2, 3. But in church, my true voice came out at 6 years old, singing, sounding a bit like a grown up, as the story's been told to me. And I knew that music was the universal language at a very young age, that
Mm.
it's the only language that we all speak and understand. You don't
Right.
have to speak the same language. We speak music. And
Mm.
music is love. Music is love. No matter what genre you're listening to, if that's something that you have chosen to listen to, I don't care if it's goth, I don't care what it is. If it's music, and
Right.
right, and you've chosen that
Right.
to fill your joy bank. And
Mm.
so to know that I've been chosen, many are called, but few are chosen.
Wow,
I
that's so
know that
powerful.
you right. Like, it's like, okay, so everybody's phone's ringing, calling. You know what I mean? Distracted. I've been called, but were you chosen?
Mm.
Because when you're chosen, God keeps blessing that area. You can't run from it.
Well, hold on. You gotta say that one more time. For the
What?
there's people in the back. There's people in the back that need it.
When you are chosen, God keeps blessing that area. You cannot run from it.
Mm.
Cannot run from it. When you are called, you'll be tired and worn out. Because, like, you just call waiting, clicking over, clicking
Mm-hmm.
over. Nah, but you see the chosen, like, hey, so yeah, you. You're who, me? Yes, you. Everyone,
Right.
that's a sense that's being claimed. It's a sense of
Mm.
belonging. You know that you're wanted, you're desired, you're needed there. That's when you'll have the endurance. My mom used to say, the race is not for the swift, but for those who endure. And so that's why there's a handful of giants. I don't care if you're talking
Mm.
Serena Williams, Kobe Bryant, Joseph Ortega, Jully Black, right? There's a handful of giants in this world, and we know who we are. Now we're coming together. And
Mm.
this is where the super team is being created. It's kingdom business,
I love that.
So
Wow. Dropping the heat early in the podcast. I love it. I love it. And I want to encourage everyone who's listening in, grab a notebook, grab your phone, take notes. Don't just let this
Mhm.
be another podcast you just passively listen to, because
Mm.
she just dropped something special here. You're chosen. In fact, get a big whiteboard and write "I'm chosen" on it.
I am
Come on.
chosen. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what? Let me do this. Let me do this. Check this out. This is gonna be super cool. You ready?
Uh.
Did you hear that?
No.
Dang it, you didn't hear it? Oh man.
Oh, no. What you want? A
I
round
play
of applause?
I play clapping. It's like on the it was on the producer side. I
I
thought you could
felt it.
hear, but
I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. I felt it all over my
I'm
shoulders. I felt it.
I'm definitely keeping this in the podcast, not cutting that part out. Hey, if anyone who produces podcasts virtually wants to join my team, I need you. I need you to be
Hello,
behind the
you're
scenes.
chosen. You're
You've been
chosen.
you've been chosen.
Yeah.
Man, I love that. That's so special because you said something that really caught my interest. You said that being a jack of all trades, well, what I heard you say, it's not a bad thing. We all
Mhm.
have different seasons where we have to lean on certain things. And I relate to that completely because, I met you making my tacos in at an event, and now we're on my podcast.
Mhm.
And if I can't navigate through my seasons, then I can't fulfill what I was chosen to do.
Hey, now you need to say that for the people at the back one more time again.
Let's go. If I can't navigate my own seasons, then I can't be who I'm chosen to be.
Boom. I'm so happy this is recorded.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah, that's good. You know that was good. You know that
Yeah,
was good.
yeah. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. Because you know what happens sometimes is, for myself, for example, I used to feel like if I started doing theater, for example, then I'll be cheating on my music. If I did music, then I'm cheating on my speaking. And all of that. See, without over spiritualizing it, the enemy, I'm just gonna go flat out my belief system. The
Mm-hmm.
enemy, the enemy is just there to convince you that you can't do it. That's his job.
Right.
It's just an influence and convincing, right? So there's no like, hey, take, I don't know, take this pill, take the gun. No, it's not that. It's
Mm.
no, you're not good enough. No, you know what? No, you don't have enough time for that. No, and then send little distractors or culture or people who are maybe afraid. And so some of the most life changing, life altering decisions that I've made came from me saying, you know what? All right, I'm not going to take a census. I'm not even going to tell anybody at times. I'm going to pray, get my divine download, get confirmation, and do it. Because no matter what the outcome, I know I'm protected and I'm loved, and it's still bringing me
Mm.
to that next step. I'm not even talking about next level,
Amen.
just that next step.
Right.
Because people focus on up. I gotta get up, up, up. But
Mm-hmm.
really, for me, I'm about moving forward.
Mm.
It's a forward movement, right?
Mm. I
Because
love that.
that's what it is. One foot in front of the next, one foot in front of the next. There's so
Right.
many people who are paralyzed with fear.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could just have this. Today I woke up I was convinced by mustard seed faith. And I had to go look on Google and look at what a mustard seed looks like. Yo. Have you seen a mustard seed?
No, but I'm gonna put it in this podcast. I'm gonna put a picture of it right here. I've heard it's like
Yes.
really tiny.
This is what I'm saying. If that's all we need is mustard seed faith, where you gotta squint, you gotta take
Right.
out a magnifying glass, then we
Right.
have more than enough. So many of us, not to digress, I just realized like some people like I don't have faith, but actually you believed you're gonna wake up the next day.
Right.
You're already believing that your next breath is there without even saying, I believe
That's
my
so
next
good.
breath is coming.
That's so good. I love that. And coming from
Right?
someone from you who has achieved so much, I feel like you achieved what so many people want to achieve, but you're not even started yet, right?
Hello.
You're somebody who has worked with Nas. You've
Mm-hmm.
worked with some A-list artist as
Yeah.
as an R&B. In fact, you're probably like the top R&B singer from Canada.
I am. This is true.
Yeah,
This is to be open, and I'm saying that with confidence because so many people can't.
absolutely.
They don't drink their own Kool Aid, and I'm learning to drink
Mm-hmm.
my own Kool Aid. So I've been deemed Canada's Queen of R&B Soul many
Come
years ago. I don't know. I
on.
don't know who named me that at first. The inner saboteur, limiting beliefs. I was like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Let the record show that there was no pavement laid before me. At
Mm.
45 years old, I'm the first of so many, but no longer the first. It's not good enough for me to be the first and the only. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
still the first at this stage of my career, then I wasn't really doing my job.
Mm.
There needed to be others that are able to come through. And there were people before me, they just didn't open the door. They opened the
Mm.
door, but they nailed it shut after they got through. I'm keeping it real.
Right.
Right. And so that's their own lived experience. Oftentimes, we're only repeating a pattern of history. We didn't know any
Mm-hmm.
different. Right. So I'm like, I got this permanent tattoo to be a bridge, to be a
Mm.
connector.
The
right? To be able
bridge.
to the bridge. They
The
call
bridge.
me, they literally call me the bridge.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
crazy that you say that because I noticed on a picture when I was like doing some research on like stuff you've done, I saw that you wore a jersey that said the bridge. I'm like, is that your nickname growing up? Or like what does that mean? But you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it actually started after my mom passed through 2017. My mom passed through. If you notice, I said passed through. I know
Mm,
she didn't pass away. She passed through. Because this is what we're doing. We're just passing through, people. We're passing
wow,
through. Right? Is
that's
this is this
powerful.
this place is for us to it's like gain our wisdom, our knowledge, our understanding, and to really set the example for the next as we pass through.
Mm, wow.
Right?
I've
So
never heard
mom,
somebody say it the way you said it.
oh my gosh, thank you. It's divine. Like I tell you, my mom going to her next assignment taught me so much
Mm,
about life and about love. And I so as she passed through, I cared for her the year before, literally by her side, put down music, and that's where the mustard seed faith came
mm,
into play because if my mom was when she was well, I was worried. I'm like, okay, well, I got a record deal. I don't have a record. I have a publishing deal. Okay, I have, I'm in film. All these things was like, how am I going to do this? Okay, I made this much money. All right, I'm good. All this, but then when my mom got sick,
mm,
and in an instant, my emotional, mental, physical, financial priorities was reset in an instant.
mm.
You realize that. Wait, hold on, who's the ultimate provider, right?
Right.
So took care of mom, and I start to then she passed through, and I was like, and I the grief hit me, and I'm
Mm,
telling you, the Lord laid it on my spirit. Joseph laid it on my spirit. I felt this an audible feeling because I didn't hear some voice, because some people act like, I mean, personally, I didn't hear some voice in my
mhm,
ear. I felt it in my spirit, and it said, Julie, don't let grief pin you down before you decide to
mm.
get up. Don't let grief pin you down before you
That's so
decide
good.
to get up. And the operative word was decide.
Mhm.
I said, okay, it's a decision to get up every
Amen.
single day. It's a decision to go through that door and work an honest living. It's a decision,
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's a decision. And so that was the beginning of the engineering of my bridge.
Mm.
This bridge has
Wow.
been carefully engineered, and it continues to be. I realized recently, I'll go back to this and I'll come back to this, but fast forward, this is now 2023. I realized that my bridge was kind of getting broken down, had a lot of
Mm,
pressure on it.
mhm.
I was allowing people access that didn't pay the toll. Oh,
Come
woo!
on. That's a
Hello!
bar.
I've never said that
That
before.
is a bar.
Woo!
Wow. Yeah, you need to say that one more time because that was a bar. We can end this podcast right now, and that is it. Oh my goodness.
I was giving people access to my bridge that didn't pay the toll.
Mm.
They didn't pay the
Mhm.
toll, Joe. They didn't pay the toll.
Mhm.
And so, as I go back to the beginning of the bridge, it's like, okay, my mom passed through at about 3:30 in the morning, and I was booked to host TD Jakes and something it was called the Power of Success here in Toronto at
Mhm.
8:30 that morning.
Wow.
Okay, November 29th, and everybody called like, we could cancel. We have a sub ready, blah blah. And I said no. I said I'm coming. This was me. The Lord was engineering my bridge
Mm.
right away, same day. I'm shivering right now, same day, same day. And I'm telling you, I didn't know I had superpowers until then. My mom
Mm.
would say, Jew, she called me Jew. She said, Jew, your faith, you're only gonna get your faith through experiences. You're gonna go through some hard times, but just
Mhm.
trust and believe. That's when your faith will be renewed. That's where you're gonna know. She
That's
said
so
before
good.
she passed through, she said, because I'll be like, Mom, I got this interview or this TV show, etc. Pray for me. Those kind of mom
Mhm.
granny prayers, like
Mhm.
call the elders and pray for me. And my mom said
Right.
to me, she left me this gift. She said, your prayers are just as strong as mine.
Mm.
And let me tell
Wow.
you, I'm telling you, I said, okay. And so people were looking at me and looking to me, wondering, like, okay, if Julie could get through this, like this is her mom, her best friend. Like you go on my, everybody knew mom to be like, we were Siamese, you know, and she had me later in life. My mom was 80 something years old and I rode with
Wow.
her everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized a part of extending my bridge and helping people understand the power of living was the power of spending time and
Mm.
understanding you could have little to no regrets, little to no grief, even, you know, that's going to hold you captive because you have the memories and
Mm-hmm.
you know that there's a song that says, you're available. My storage is empty, Lord. Lord, I'm available to you.
Mm.
It says, Lord,
Come
I'm
on.
available to you. My will I give to you. I'll do what you say to. Use me, Lord, to show
Beautiful.
someone the way and enable me to say, my storage is empty and I am available to you.
Amen. Come on.
Right? And so all of that had to be emptied out so that there could be availability, you
Mm.
know? And so without being super long-winded, that's the bridge. It's being available, it's
Mm.
being vulnerable, it's showing up. You know what I mean? Some people are like, I can't be there, but I'll buy a ticket or blah blah blah. I'm like, you know what? Don't just buy a ticket. Send somebody
Mm-hmm.
in your place,
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
yeah,
so good.
it's been a
That's
journey.
I feel like the world needs to hear that. Being available, being present, that's
Yeah.
as humans, like that is the human connection. Without that, there's no humanity,
No,
you know.
no. I showed up in Vegas with Lisa and the rest of the
Yeah.
Title League gang for like 18 hours. Like, I don't even know if I was there for the full 24 hours. I promise you. But I said, Lisa, Kurt, I'm part of Title League. I'm showing up. Showed
Mm-hmm.
up to hang in the green room. Where'd I meet you?
Right. Right.
Come on.
And that's powerful. People like most of everyone who's listening to this is an entrepreneur
Mm,
asking themselves, like, how do I build better connections? You got to show up and be present. And what you
yeah.
said, be vulnerable, because when we met, I was vulnerable. I told you what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the reason why we connected. So many people hold back. They're ashamed that people would think otherwise of them. And so they're not open. They're not honest. They're not vulnerable.
That's right. That's right. Your vulnerability, your truth. And to be open, I was upstairs, I mean, just to paint the picture
Right.
and listening to different interviews, etc. Had my tacos, felt nice, belly full. And I kept getting pulled, this call to the green room.
Mm.
Like, and I was like, Lise, let's go to the green room. She's like, what's in this green? I said, I don't know. I just need to go. I just like, let's just go down there because we kind of have to whisper upstairs. We got to be quiet because they're filming.
Right. Right.
And went down to the green room. It was locked. Went back
Mm.
upstairs. It's like, who locked the green room? She's like, who locked the green room? I'm like, you know what? Let's go back down. You're sitting in the green room. The rest is history. I tell you,
Wow.
she said to me, Lisa said, you came on this trip so that God could let you know that you hear his voice. Because I
Mm.
wasn't hearing green room. You kept hearing, let's go to the green room. And what
Wow.
happened supernaturally in that green room, that's it. Sometimes we wonder, are you hearing, is that you, God? Am I being, super Christian? Is this really, is this real? Am I being fake? Is it like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you need your own confirmation, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it was for me. It was,
Wow.
you helped me confirm that I do hear God's whisper.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I feel so many people need to hear that, because sometimes the confirmation isn't physical, and sometimes we try to look for signs from God and we
Hmm.
get lost. And sometimes the sign is just that feeling that keeps coming up. And I'll tell you
Yes.
this, I'll say this, God is so great.
It sure is. It's
So
real.
great. So great. And he moves through people.
Hmm.
And one conversation could be all you need, not who you could get from a conversation,
Mm,
but what you feel from it. And I'll tell you this, when we had that conversation and when you guys prayed over me, that was like the fire I needed to be ignited again. And I'm
my
just
gosh.
blessed. I'm blessed I'm truly forever grateful. I remember Lisa saying 4 years. She's like, hey, in 4 years, and 4 years. And I'll say this after that, say like meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying that like the number 4 was repetitive. Like the next day, I was playing basketball with my church. And I can't make this up. It's a 5-on-5, right?
Mm.
But one of the guys was like, hey, let's play 4-on-4. And he kept saying 4-on-4 for like 2 hours until the
Stop.
end of the 2 hour. We actually played 4-on-4. And I'm like, this is wild. This is like, what is God putting? Like, what is he trying to tell me? And
I
I
have to
just
say
start.
this. I have to say this because my confirmation number is 8, and 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay.
Right.
And when you shared that it had been 8 months since, you kind of renewed your
Yeah.
walk,
Yeah.
that's when I knew that was a God encounter.
That's crazy.
And I didn't tell you that there. Like that was after I said Lisa, I'm like, how many months did he say? She said 8. I was like,
Right. So here's a trip. So here, like literally, I'm gonna screenshot this and put
mm,
it on the podcast. So I just searched up the meaning of number 4, and it says almost from prehistoric times, the number 4 was employed to signify what was solid, what could be touched and felt. It's the relationship to cross made it an astounding symbol of wholeness and universality, a symbol which drew all to itself. So like when it said signify what was solid and what could be touched and felt, like that's that human touch.
it's a
And
human
that's
touch.
when I knew I had to go and ignite this podcast. I
Yeah.
had to. It was the calling.
The
From
calling.
that,
I love it. I love it. I love it. Here we are.
here we are. Like that, man, it is. And what you said early in the podcast, like you're chosen.
Yes.
And I want to touch on that because you've done, I mean, you're an astounding, exceptional trailblazer. You're like the representation of what this podcast is about. And I
Thank
say that
you.
with humility because I say that because you were an astounding athlete.
Thank
You're
you.
you're an you're an astounding musician, an astounding entrepreneur, and I'm sure there's other things in that too.
Mm-hmm.
How do you be the best at everything you do? Because there's people that are good at certain things, but you're exceptional at everything you do, and a disruptor. Because I want to kind of drop this now. We'll talk about later. But you changed the national anthem of Canada. Like what? When I heard that, I said, excuse me. She said, I said, you did what? Like you changed it. You
Yeah.
changed it. That's mind blowing to me.
It's part of that bridge. How do you do everything well? Um, you you lean into the truth that whatever's going to take too much time away from the things you do well, you don't do it. And let me just elaborate.
Mm,
Strengthen your strengths. So many people are focusing on strengthening their weaknesses.
mm,
Strengthen your strengths.
I love that.
Just take that in. Okay. For example, I do play the guitar, but I realized I was spending so much time trying to be Carlos Santana when I have
Mm,
this beautiful voice that's an instrument as well. So
mm.
what did I do? I decided to finally, I'd say finally, because I didn't take voice lessons until 2019. So that's just the
Wow.
other day, and I'm 45 years old. I didn't take not one voice lesson. But I was like, you know what, Julie? You were leaning on the fact that you're gifted and God, you're this anomaly and you're given this, this all these things. It was like, you know what, but can I expand my range? How
Mm,
does it now I started learning about vocal nutrition. Okay. What things help the vocal cords? What things hurt the vocal cords? How much sleep, exercise, fitness. So that's how in that regard, I was like, you know what, I want to be the Kobe, Serena, Michael Jordan, Oprah of vocalists.
right.
What does
Right.
that look like? Right? And so if you really look at the things that you do well, yeah, and that you enjoy,
Mm,
like you will spend hours, you'll do it for free. Like this is the thing. Like theater versus like film and television. I love theater. I was afraid of it at first, so now I'll segue into that. So I was cast to be in a musical called Caroline or Change, and it's a Tony Award winning musical on off Broadway. It came to Toronto, and someone saw me in my other work and said, "That's our Caroline." But I had never done theater. I had never done, this is 300 pages of dialogue, 29
Wow.
songs, me being the lead, carrying the whole company. So here comes a little voice. You didn't go to theater school. You know, you're better at improv. You're a singer, but all those limiting beliefs. But you see, when you have a gift of an evangelical gift, that you are, you know, that being able to truly be a bridge, cultivate a crowd and master crowd control, presence. I know when I walk into a room, I'm felt, right? So like, okay.
100%.
Right. So it's like, okay, so guess what I did? It's like, all right, they asked me to be Caroline. I says, well, how long's the rehearsal? They said 6 weeks. I said, I need 12 months. I said, ask your director and musical director, will they work with me for 52 weeks? I need a year. So rather than do less work, I wanted to do more work. Ed crushed it. You could go online and Google it. Every award, the reviews, like crazy. So now guess what? That increases my confidence. And what's confidence? Confidence is currency. Write that down.
Whoa, I've never heard that before. Confidence is currency.
That's what I'm cashing in. That's what I'm spending. You want to know what I'm spending? Confidence.
I love that. That's so
Okay?
powerful.
That pumps you up for the next thing you're about to do, like change the national anthem to home on native land instead of home and native land. Because now I'm not only a Juno, which is the Grammys award winning, the Dora, which is the Tonys in Canada award winning. So now there's a level of respect and reverence, because those gatekeepers and even those who are in power see that Jully does the work, right? She's not looking for a hand-me-down. She's not looking. I was like, you give me the interview, I'll get the job.
Right.
Flat out. I'm not telling you to give me the job. I just want the interview, yo. Right?
Wow.
And so that's how you invest. A lot of people watching right now, you might think, I don't have a business. I'm going to tell you this. You are your business.
Come on, say that again.
You are your business.
Come on, yes.
All right? You invest in you, personal growth and development. I'm looking straight in the camera. You are your business.
That's so good.
Yes. And the mindset switched.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, you know what? And I'm the first generation Canadian. I have to. I'm my ancestors' wildest dreams. I sit on the shoulders of 10,000 plus. So I'm like, you know what? I just found out. I went to Chicago last week. I just found out that my great grandmother, Rebecca Richards, never saw a picture of her until last week. She was a daughter of a slave and a white slave master. They sent her to school. I had no idea. Sent her to school, but she wanted to live with her dad and she couldn't. There's a whole other thing. She had to marry black. She wanted to marry white. Like all this stuff I'm learning. I'm like, this is my bloodline. And Beyonce would say, that's my bloodline. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm getting so excited. So just to come back to that, to your question, how do you do all the things well? You focus on each of the things that makes you feel so, so good and build on it, develop them, ask for help, invest. And also check your bloodline, yo. There's resilience in that bloodline. I don't care if there was, there was somebody in your family that was like might have been the medicine woman or medicine man of their time. But now what? Because you didn't go to medical school. You're not a doctor anymore. Stop it. Stop it. Let's go.
Yeah, that's powerful. Even Kendrick Lamar said that in one of his songs.
Word, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's so good. So, well, one of the, my mind is just racing. But a question that's just been in my heart is like, when you're doing so much stuff, there's a level of reinvention in a way. Like there's a level of like, you have to reinvent yourself to fit. I'm not saying to fit in a different industry, but to you were saying to invest and to grow. So I'm curious, I'm like, how does reinvention apply to someone like you and through your experience of being exceptional in like industries that don't even cross each other?
Right. That's an awesome, it's an amazing question. I think you have to be okay being the least experienced and basically not the best in the room, so to speak.
Mm,
I understood at an early age, I think because first of all, I was 5'10" at 10 years old, wearing a size 10 shoe, a size 10 pants. So just visualize that as a 10-year-old,
hmm
5'10" child, right? So there were times where I was kind of hanging with older people. My peer group was a little bit different. And because I was always special, um, I was just amongst a different crowd, so to speak.
mm,
So that in itself, there were times where people tried to sun me because I was young but mature, right? And then there were times where it's like, well, I just actually want to be a kid. So let me, even though I'm
hmm
like the biggest kid, I'm a kid still. So applying that same energy and mindset into your adult life, going into rooms like, for example, I have a friend of mine, she's big in the tech space, and I had to say to her, hey, listen, I want to be in these rooms. She's like, I didn't think you'd be interested in tech. I said, allow me to tell you I'm not interested.
mm,
Give me the option at least. Don't take my option away. Because
right.
I conduct a bit of a fun life. People look at my life like my work, like it's not work. I'm like, that's work. Trust me. And there are
hmm
times where, I've experienced depression, anxiety. Experienced just extreme sadness. Like it's not this,
hmm
I'm not this, you know, person that hasn't experienced that. Even a few weeks ago, like it'll, grief for example, is also a wave. Sadness is a wave. I just
hmm
choose to actually jump on it and ride it. So 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 yeah, it's important as far as reinvention. I also look at, I love saying this. I got this from Pastor Todd actually. He says, instead of representing the kingdom, we could
mm,
represent. Just split the word,
mm,
right? So over the years, I've been saying, "Hey, meet me where I'm at. Hi, this is me on today. I'm
mhm,
representing myself because guess what? I'm team therapy. And over the years I've been doing therapy. And now I have an amazing therapist. That's another thing. Like you got to date therapists for data points. Like don't just
mhm,
lock into one because maybe you just haven't found another one or you're just be like, I don't know if anyone else is out there. It's no different than dating, right? So I
mhm,
found a therapist that is truly culturally, mentally, emotionally, all the things, spiritually, aligned, equally yoked.
mhm. Mm,
People
that's
look
so
at being
good.
equal, right? People look at being equally yoked as just like romantic and marriage and all the things. No, are your peer groups equally yoked?
Mhm.
Friendships, you know what I mean? Your colleagues.
Come on, dropping
I mean,
gems right now.
flat out. I may not go to lunch with you, like flat out. We might
Right.
have to work on the same project, even talking corporate. But if we're not equally yoked, I'm not doing what you're doing after work. I'm not
Fact.
hanging with you on the lunchtime. That's
That's a
my time.
fact. Yep.
That's my time, right?
That's
And
so good.
so, yeah, that's how the reinvention, the rebirth, and even talking about like
Mm,
thinking about being born again. Like I
mm.
look at each day as a rebirth. Like
Wow.
I could each day, each time the my how cocky are we to think
Mm,
that our eyes are going to open the next day?
mm.
What type of ego do you have?
Wow.
Not saying not to have faith, but to
Right.
just like when your eyes pop open that next day, to me that means God has some, your purpose hasn't been fulfilled fully, and
Mm,
there's a divine assignment on your life. I said it to you when we were in Vegas. I says I would never trade the one for the 99.
mm. Right, I do remember that. That's
You
so
remember that?
powerful. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
what does that mean to you? Like,
what it
what's the
means, oh my gosh, what it means to me is this. I'll use singing,
okay.
performing as an example. I could be. I went to UK. I was booked for this show in the UK. First time playing in London, I was hype. Got there, my band hype.
Mhm.
We played to the bar staff. Tickets didn't really sell. It was literally bar staff, maybe three people in the audience. But there was somebody I was supposed to meet,
Mm.
and it was a divine encounter, no similar to ours.
Right.
And that's when it was laid on my heart. So you're focusing on the 99,
Mm.
right? You're focusing on the crowd. You're focusing on likes, views, and follows. How many of those people on your social media are actually showing up?
Not many.
Fellow, right? So it's like the followers, and then there's the watchers. So I'm like, bun that. At the end of the day, that life changes truly in an instant. I'll give this
Mm-hmm.
example. Let's say you found out. So right now, let's say I'm without a home, right?
Right.
And then I go buy a lotto ticket and I win.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm still without a home.
Right.
Check hasn't even landed in my hand. They just read my numbers. All of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden now, in my mind, I'm rich. My life changed. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we apply that mindset in our everyday life?
Wow. That's something to real wow. That's crazy because you're right. Success is a feeling. Like if I were to call you and say, "Hey, I'm gonna drop a Lamborghini off to your crib at 2 p.m. and it's yours," you'll be like, "Oh, wow!" Like you'll be on this high or what? You're like,
Screaming,
"That's
calling people,
crazy."
open the window, I'm getting a Lambo. But
Right. That's crazy.
so now let's take this one step further. There are those of us who, like right now, I'm single at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, humans, but I'll speak on a women's perspective, looking for the feeling of partnership and
Mm-hmm.
marriage and relationship. It's like, okay, but if it's a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
so why can't we dial up that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we cook our food like I'm cooking for my husband? Why can't I, you
Mm-hmm.
know, dress nice like I'm dressing because we going out tonight? Blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Why are we waiting?
Right.
It's a
Wow.
feeling.
I didn't I never thought of success or just thinking that way. That's wow, that's powerful because that eliminates the desire to get to where you want to be because if you could switch your mind to that feeling of what it feels like to have what you want without getting it,
Hmm. Whew.
man, that's that is a really good takeaway. So if you're listening in, really just meditate on that. Pause this podcast, write it down, go back and listen to what Jully said about the lotto ticket because that's a really great analogy. If you win a lotto ticket, you don't get the money till weeks later, but you're on this high and you don't even have the money yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So that goes back. That lets me think about the mustard seed faith and
Right.
that anticipation and that expectation. It's like if we could go through life expecting to feel good and do well and
Mm.
expecting to be
Mm-hmm.
supported, and see, because there's been a low frequency,
Yeah.
low vibration energy around
Facts.
expectation and
Right.
having that right. Like, what do you expect? Look at the body language. What do you expect?
Mm-hmm.
No, but if it's like I'm expecting my life to
Mm-hmm.
serve me the way I'm serving it, I'm expecting, right? My future to be my,
Mm.
I often say that my I'll tell you out there too, everyone listening, that your history, especially if it was hard, doesn't have to be your destiny.
Facts.
Flat
That's
out.
so good. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh.
Your history does not have to be your destiny. Come on. That's a
Let's
bar.
go.
Yeah.
I got bars.
You got bars. I mean, you're an R&B artist for a reason. You got these bars. I want to touch on that because I come from very humble beginnings.
Mm.
And growing up, I just always felt that, oh, I'm going to be as successful as my dad. My dad wasn't successful by any means, but I only saw that being like, oh, like I don't know if I could be further than him.
Mm.
But when I stopped looking at my history, well, I think it's also good to look at your history
Oh yeah,
from
yeah,
your
yeah.
different perspectives. But
Reflection. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when your intention is like my success is only as good as what I see or what I've seen growing up, now
Mm.
you have that limited belief that you were talking about earlier.
Aye.
So I want to ask you, like, before your success, like when you
Mm-hmm.
were, grinding through before anything really started to pop, like how did you overcome the perspective or the conditioning you had as a kid to now becoming this mega successful person in different areas?
So this is gonna be I'm not even gonna give a disclaimer.
Okay.
So I grew up in an area in Toronto called Jane and Finch, and it would be the equivalent. I mean, it's basically what they would deem as an inner city at risk, marginalized community type thing, right?
Right.
Um, and so
Mm.
what's interesting though is as a child and even teen, I did not really know it was marginalized, at risk, kind of
Mm.
ghetto,
Mhm.
um, because of the four walls.
Mm.
The four walls informed my mindset quite a bit. And even after my parents divorced when I was 10, I would say, especially after my parents divorced when I was 10 years old, my mom, she later on, she let us know that she went without so that she could raise the nine of us, plus foster,
Mhm.
plus adopt,
Wow.
and work at General Motors of Canada. Just a super hero with a grade 7 education, whole other thing. But she I didn't feel like I always felt like a superstar. I'm just gonna put it flat
Mhm.
out. What was hard is when I grew up and realized that, wow, my giant is gonna be white Canada. That there is
Mm.
nobody that came before me, that there's no black
Mm.
radio, that there was no record companies gonna sign me, that there was those were the giants that I had to
Wow.
slay more so than the mindset around, you know, entrepreneurship. Or my mom, I got my allowance, and I was always a baby entrepreneur. I had my piggy bank. I saved my piggy bank. If I wanted to buy something, we did a little budget. I bought it from my piggy
Mhm.
bank, or she'd meet me halfway, say, okay, how much could you pay towards your Barbie doll? I could, like, it was, so I just believed that God was training me
Right.
at a very young age. I think that too few of us, especially parents, like, I really want to encourage and inspire the parents to, like, really pay attention to
Mhm.
your kids and their entrepreneurial mindset. Like, I'm telling you, there are kids
Mhm.
right now that are already entrepreneurs, and how they
Facts.
do trading cards, or how they,
Mhm.
whatever that, how they're choosing to share their lunch, or who they're gonna, okay, you can't buy lunch. Okay, I'll buy you your lunch, but then you might have to, it's $2. You might have to give me $3 because I
Mhm.
paid for it today for $2. It's
Mhm.
just a thing, right? And so later on, when I started to have my own responsibilities,
Mm.
and because my mom, she decided to, like, okay, I'm gonna keep it very, very forward right now. She's like, okay, now you have your period, you have a little job, you're gonna buy your own pads. I'm not
Mm.
buying that for you anymore. I'm not, like, there were things that she just started to weed me off of so I could be responsible
That's so
and understand.
good.
Yeah, like, and I
Yeah.
was like, it shouldn't be embarrassing, but at my age and back then, it was like embarrassing to have
Right.
pads, you'd like cover the bag and all that. So she's like, no, this is life. Okay. So she got me a little pager, and she took it out for me, but I'd have
The
to pay for it
pager.
myself.
The brick.
Pager, yo, the brick. But she gave me responsibility, and so I think it's important that you give children responsibility
Yeah.
as young as possible, or,
Yeah.
give them a safety net. If they fall, you'll catch them. You know what I mean?
No, that's
Um,
good.
yeah. So I didn't really have that limiting belief until later in life, when it's like, why aren't you playing my songs, or why aren't there
Mhm.
venues booking black artists, or
Mhm.
why aren't there tours? To this day, there are more white bands in Canada that around the clock are touring. So here comes the extension of my bridge again. I'm like, all right, I got to figure out. I'm gonna figure out a way to become my own kind of promotion company, and
Mhm.
hire bands and take it on the road, because at least I have privilege as Jully Black. I have
Right.
relationships with corporates. And so that's kind of what's next in my heart
Nice.
anyway. It's percolating.
I love that. One of the
Hmm.
things I've been just thinking about this whole time, I want to go back a little bit back in the earlier
Hmm.
conversation about the anthem that you changed, because from I heard from an insider that you actually had to ask permission from, or not you had to, but you wanted to
Yeah.
ask permission from the actual native tribe of Canada
Hmm.
for you to change the word of the song. Like, how was that
Yeah.
whole experience for you?
Okay, so let me take you back to 2019. The
Okay.
Raptors are in the finals, NBA finals, and Lisa Washington, shout outs again, and a few others. They sent my package to the NBA. Like, we want Julie to sing the anthem because it's the Toronto finals, first time, big things. And it was like a done deal. Yep, Jully's doing it. We're good to go. I'm like wicked excited. And then, classic, they changed directions. But I often
Wow.
say this: God's direction is protection. That's one. Okay. And two,
Come on.
okay. Yes. Every this whole disappointment, and just take that as a redirection, man. It is a redirection. And I was like, wow. Fast forward 4 years later, pandemic hits the year after and all the things. And out the blue, December 2022, so from 2020 till now, they have been, I'm going to say the proper terminology in Canada, they have been recovering the remains of many children from something called residential school. Residential schools were for First Nations kids were sent to. It was Catholic school, and the government and the Catholic Church was involved, and it was very, very sad stuff. Some children tried to run off, and hypothermia, passed away because it was winter, but they found literally first hundreds, now thousands of, recovered these remains. So
Wow.
as a born Canadian, but also through the lives of settlers, my parents settled from Jamaica. So this is where my thought process. I'm like, okay, wait. This isn't it's not my land. I don't care if I'm born here, right? I stopped singing the national anthem. I've been asked many times. I was like, okay, you know what? I need to get some of this history. I need to learn more, and that needs to feel right. I have many friends who are Indigenous, some friends who weren't even outwardly Indigenous because they present as white. So they went through their lives being white because it was easier. Okay. Whole other thing. I cannot present as anything but Black. So this is my lived experience. I'm like, here comes the bridge. I have this opportunity to do this anthem. The Canadian anthem, that's the largest stage for the Canadian anthem. There's no Canadian anthem at Super Bowl. This is the largest stage. So here comes, I can feel my mom kind of like hovering. You're going to exercise wisdom. Move your ego out the side to decide, how do you make this meaningful? How do you stand in the gap for somebody other than yourself? Okay, here comes this anthem. 2 minutes, a cappella. Like, all right, speak to Indigenous friends. I said, okay. Tears are like, the elders taught us it that way. Because what the anthem says, "O Canada, our home and native land." Some people use the word "and" like as if it's, this is where we're all from, and. But no, it's our home that is built on native land. They were here first. And so I got their blessing. Didn't tell my friends though. Because going back to what we spoke about earlier, sometimes if you take a census, you might be convinced to do otherwise. Fear might set in. I'll speak to entrepreneurs as well. You might have this brilliant business idea. Apparently, Walt Disney just saw land. There was nothing built on it. People thought it was just a piece of dirt. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things where it's like, you got to protect your dreams and protect your decisions.
That's good.
Okay. So I sang it. And literally went viral. It went viral, and I didn't even know, because I was like, who did it? Okay,
Wow.
change. Let's watch the game. And I'm talking the BBC, Washington Post, LA Times. It was everywhere.
Wow.
I did 5 weeks of press. To this day, I'm still very close, even closer to Indigenous peoples. There's something called the Assembly of First Nations, where the national chief, her name is Roseanne Archibald, the very first female national chief ever, brought me to Ottawa, our nation's capital, and they gave me a blanketing ceremony and an eagle's feather, thanking me for my courage, and all the things. And they also shared, hey, as Indigenous peoples, we are ready to stand in the gap for Black and brown people of color. We know we have work to do as well. And so it's been, God is my publicist. I keep telling people, like, God is my publicist. I've written for Nas, Destiny's Child. I've Celine Dion, Elton John, toured, won awards. I've been inducted in the Walk of Fame. I can list all the things. It's all on Wikipedia. But there's one decision to do something for somebody outside of me, to to be selfless. And really, it wasn't, people are like, were you afraid? It took a lot of courage. No, I had peace. And when you have
Mm,
peace around your decision, you know that it's protected and
right.
that you were chosen for that
Come
responsibility.
on. That's so
When you
good.
have peace, if you have trepidation and all the things, it's like, I think about the Bible when the storm was happening and Jesus was like sleeping, like, yo, just chill
Right.
out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just chill. We're good.
Right. No, that's
Right?
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, that's so good. One thing I really do admire about this is just your ability to be selfless on something so big. Like, you didn't have to do any of that. You didn't have to
Yeah.
seek a blessing from the native people. You didn't have to do that. And
Right.
most people won't do that because that's going out of their way. And most people just want that limelight to themselves. And you
Mm,
did something that brought the light to the native people and
right.
affect like equally took the limelight away from you and put it on them, but
Yeah.
you did that and that made such like that shifted perspective. And that's I mean, if that's not building the kingdom of God, I don't know what is. Like that's
Mm, thank you. Thank you. Wow. If that's not building the kingdom of God, that's huge. Thank you.
yeah,
Means a lot to
because
me.
that's you know, that's what we're all here to do. People, especially entrepreneurs, people don't
Hmm.
understand when the word disruption is said, it's a kingdom principle.
Mm, come
Because
on.
building the kingdom of God as an entrepreneur is not supposed to be anything but disruption. It's supposed
Hello.
to disrupt stuff. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. It's supposed to make other people uncomfortable because the word is actually backwards, right? The word's
Mm.
like it's better to give than it is to receive. That makes 100% of people that's not saved uncomfortable. Why would I give? I want to receive, right?
Right. Right.
So when your story went
Mm.
viral about you sought the blessings of the native people and you sang the anthem, you changed the word, like you received a lot of good stuff, but you also received a lot of backlash from it.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, the backlash was I had to have plainclothes police at my concerts. I had to get this training on how to come in and out my car and
Wow.
make sure you might, lock the door. It locks on its own, but like I've never really paid attention to my locking my door, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Um, but let me tell you what the enemy meant for harm. The
Mm.
Lord totally used it for my good and for all of our good because it also put the spotlight on racism in Canada.
Mhm.
And that a lot of people, the world looks at us like you're most multicultural and you're so friendly and everybody's so nice and blah blah blah. We have flat out white supremacists, flat out
Mm.
racism. Right? Some of the until the Assembly of First Nations came on board, because they came on board in April. This happened in February, so
Mhm.
March through April, I was kind of out here in them streets, like,
Mhm.
what's going on? Because I was offered bags, Joseph, of money from conservative political parties. That's like, could you come sing that anthem so that they could get props? And I had
Mhm.
to turn down the money. So that's another thing too. It's like, I call it the IP address. I'll pass. you know,
Mm.
Sometimes the power is in the I'll pass.
Mhm.
And, there's people who may want to invest in your business, or what are their ethics, their morals, their values? Like, who are they? Do they have integrity?
Right.
You know, like, these are the things where sometimes, especially as a startup, you're like, wow, this angel investor or this venture capitalist, but it's like, who are the people behind the money?
Right.
Right?
Wow.
So there was that part of it. But it's caused such beautiful conversations, and for people to
Mhm.
say, like I often say, silence is violence. So
Mm.
I'd much rather know than not know. I'd much rather I have friends who are white that's like, yo, you know what, I'm not gonna lie, my grandfather, my grandparents are racist, and I'm not, but they were. And so there are some things that were said that were like culturally like inappropriate. So we've been now dealing with
Mm.
appropriation versus appreciation.
Mm.
And that's
Wow.
something, yeah, it's big, because there's people that are,
Are you
you know,
still
that,
dealing with all of that to this day? Like, it's been a few months after that?
yeah, no, right now I'm in the glory. It's
Okay.
glory.
That's
And I'm in the glory
amen.
because I've also, Job, man, I'm not gonna curse God and die. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think about Joseph, your amazing name, and it's like, like your brothers sold you into slavery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he had the gift of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when your jail cell, this is Bible story, just in case you just logged in or if you're just hearing it now, when your cellmate is like telling Pharaoh, hey, my cellmate, he has dreams. You have dreams you need to get interpreted. I know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting goosebumps right now because it's like, how many of us are willing to hand off the opportunity to
Mm.
somebody that's more gifted? Thank you, Holy
Right.
Spirit. To somebody that has what you don't have, and that's okay because you have something else.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, there you go. His cellmate was the bridge. Not only did Joseph come out second in command, he was able to save his brothers from the famine,
Mm.
right? And the brothers didn't recognize him. And there's people
Right.
who won't recognize you in your greatness, won't
Come
recognize you in your new
on.
season. And it's not for them. You don't need to remind them of what they did to you in the
Yeah.
past. Nah.
Amen.
In the
Yeah.
Corinthians, it says, keeps no record of being wrong. People just talk about
Mm.
love is patient, love is kind. But I say, will you burn the records?
Mm.
Don't let me preach a sermon up in here. I
Come
ain't ready.
on. Yeah,
You ain't ready.
that was good. That was fire. You're just dropping bars this whole time. Like, that was good.
I get fired up,
Wow.
Joseph. I get fired up. I get
Yeah,
fired
I
up.
want people to really just appreciate this conversation. I know
Mm.
we're coming to the tail end of it. If you're listening to this, I think this conversation deserves a 2 to 3 replay because
Mm.
the amount of wisdom, there's so much wisdom in this conversation,
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
and that's why I'm so just driven about this podcast, because I know how it feels to seek wisdom through podcasts, and to get it's a big difference maker. So I'm just so thankful, Jully, that the wisdom that's being transferred from you to everyone listening in, myself included, has been received. It's been received, and it's transforming so many people right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel overwhelmed. I'm just grateful. Sitting in Toronto, sitting here where like so many people like me are just wondering, when's their time gonna come?
Mm.
And your time is right now. Right now. It's not waiting for the time to come. It's not like, I realize that my success really lies in my significance.
Mm.
And if you could feel significant to yourself and just know you matter, that's for me. Because some people think Toronto, they say, how do you spell Toronto? They say Drake. And we know Drake,
Mm.
he's a cool guy. But I'm like, you know what? There's so many people here who are thinking that they're trapped. And you
Mm.
have amplified my voice, Joseph. You have given me a microphone out there to connect with whomever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this is where these tears are coming from. It's like, I went to Vegas for less than a day. And as a result, I have a new friend in Christ. I have
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I know in my spirit, especially based on you sharing your story with me and Lisa. Like, this is a good man. This is a good man that has all the tools in there to do it again and again and again. Great is thy faithfulness. His promise still stands. Great is his
Amen.
faithfulness. Right? So it's like, for me, I'm like, it's one thing for me to have faith, but I want God to have faith in me.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to have faith in me to say, I know my daughter's gonna do what she has to do. I
Amen.
know, so.
And I feel that obedience is the bridge for that.
Ooh,
Yeah. The more we obey, the
it's
more we
huge.
feel that God has confidence in us.
Whew, this must be my third listen. I need that. I might
Yeah.
have to write obedience right underneath. I kid you not. If you see me with handwriting
Oh
obedience, I
man.
kid you not. Obedience is the bridge.
Yes, it is. It truly is. You said earlier, you're chosen, and now like it's interesting that the end of this is obedience, because like when you're where you're chosen, the next thing is you have to obey.
Yeah.
And for someone just hearing your story and hearing um just everything that you shared here, it takes a level of obedience to accomplish what you've done and to continue to pave the way for
Yeah.
many, many people out of Canada to spread their wings. And
Mm.
and I just want to encourage everyone, listen to this story, listen to these words from Jully, because she's a representation. Even if you're not in Canada, you could be anywhere in the world. She is a representation of what life could look like when you obey what you're chosen for.
Oh my gosh. You have to make me some merch. I know you have many business. I'm gonna need that on some sort of shirt or something. Because obedience is the bridge.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. No, that's it. That's it. I'm putting down my pocket. Like that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Wow. Yeah, I took that to heart right now, because, and it's not just obeying, as an entrepreneur, it's obeying as a person. It's
Hmm.
following kingdom principles, and then applying that to life. And even when you like, even more as an entrepreneur, or as an artist, or as somebody who wants to go after your dreams,
Hmm.
obedience is key. It's key,
It's
because
key.
when you're not obeying God and you're going after it, it's going to be challenging, and it's going to
That's
take
it.
longer than what it's a longer journey, I'll tell you that. It's like
It's the 40
driving.
years. It's the children of Israel. It's the
Oh
40
my,
years.
yes. Yeah, I always say that it's equivalent to like trying to drive 3 hours with no GPS. Like a 3 hour drive is going to take you a whole day. Like,
Whole day.
but when
Just
you,
circling.
yeah, when you obey and God, and you're being led by God, you got that GPS telling you where to go, as long
Follow
as you obey.
instructions. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And that's the thing, just to like, add on to that. And I guess in, the benediction is like, even with the detours, even when the GPS says
Hmm.
recalculating, you're still going to get to your destination.
Right. It may take a little bit longer. It may be a little uncomfortable. You may need to
Yeah,
make a U-turn, a few
right.
U-turns. Yeah.
But you're going to get there.
You're gonna get there. I
You
love
will, you
that.
will get there. You will.
So my new friend from Toronto, it's
Yes,
been so good for this conversation. I know we could keep going on for hours and
I
hours,
know.
but I have a question I'm going to ask, and will ask every person I interview. The question is this: hypothetically, if you were to no longer exist tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing you've done, like pretty much your existence from the day you were born, is gone, removed from history, but you could leave one little note behind, and and that note will be framed in the Hall of Fame, every Hall of Fame museum of who you are. What would that note and message say?
Ooh.
I know it's a deep question.
I think it's gonna be a full circle moment. Is
Okay.
don't let anything pin you down before you decide to get up.
Hmm. Let's take a moment just to like take that in. Don't let anything pin you down before you decide to get back up.
Yeah, yeah. Before you decide to get up. Yeah,
That's good.
that's it.
That's good.
That's it.
That's deep.
You know,
And let me ask you, why would that be your message?
that would be my message because things are gonna happen. You're going to
Hmm.
experience things. People, you're going to be disappointed by people, places, and things. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, it's the law. It's-
Hmm.
and but if you allow those things to pin you down, straight jacket, like think
Hmm.
about someone that's being pinned down. They're
Hmm.
trying to keep you down, like it's something to nah, no, 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 no. You have a decision to make. These are and the
Hmm.
things that are happening through your life, understand that it may feel like it's happening to you, but in fact, it's
Hmm.
happening through you, right? And as these things are happening, and you can make a choice to be like, yo,
Hmm.
The power of choice, literally choice. Flip the switch. Some people, my mom used to say, I'm saying in Jamaican, you plug in the kettle, but you never turn it on. You turn on the source. You have to, flip the switch. That's
Right.
your source, right?
Right.
You trying to get this hot water is still sitting there cold because you didn't make a decision. So don't let anything pin you down before you decide to get up. And in the decision, it
Powerful.
doesn't mean in the decision that you're going to fly up right away. It's that you've
Right.
decided, I'm getting up. I'm
I
going to
love
beat
that.
this.
I love that.
And then
What
the
a
next step.
way to end the podcast. Just
Thank you.
dropping bars the whole way through. Dropping gold
Thank you.
bars. Hey, it's another gold rush in this podcast today.
Hello.
Come on.
You are phenomenal. The way you listen, the way you ask questions, the way it flows. I have to give you your perennial flowers that will always
Thank
grow
you.
back again. Don't be giving me them flowers that I have to throw them out next week. We're all about the perennials. Okay.
Okay, I receive it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
Man,
welcome.
and also thank you to every guest here. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to those
Yes.
who, those who are watching and those who are taking notes and those who are being impacted, because we're doing this for you. We're doing this to make your day better and to
Mm.
bring you closer to God. And I'm
Mm.
just having this moment. I know how it feels like to push God to the side. I know how it feels like to not believe in a God. And I also know how it feels like to believe in God and to experience his love, his joy, his passion, his grace, his commitment. And I just want to encourage you, lean on God. Listen to a
Mm.
podcast about God. Go to a church. If you haven't been to church for a while, hey, I'm not about religion. I'm about spiritual connection. But there's a difference when you go to a church that's about that too. So I
Yeah.
just want to encourage you, take those steps. And I know God has a huge plan for you. So thank you guys. Thank you, Miss Jully Black, for being here.
It's my
And I'm
pleasure.
telling you, every week I'm committing to a podcast episode to build this community, this culture with Trailblazers Talk, and to really see God build through this podcast. So thank
Mm.
you. God bless. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.